The following program, Live and Learn, is made possible by Aging Partners. Find out more on their website.
Welcome to Live and Learn. I'm Lita Powell Drake, and you can see what we're going to talk about today, the serving hands. And Matt Schulte and Lucia McCoy are here to tell us all the details. Please, this is significant. Stay tuned.
Hello and welcome to Live and Learn. I'm your host, Jerry Renaud. It is September, and that means all of the fitness classes for Aging Partners will be starting up again. We want to tell you about all of the classes that are going to be taking place and some new ones as well. Tracy Foreman, Community Health Educator for Aging Partners, will be here. You don't want to miss it.
I'm Doug Jones. Grandparents have a great opportunity to develop a bond with their grandchildren by reading to them. This also helps their mental development. Stay tuned for an interesting discussion of books for children.
Friendship through flowers. What a beautiful thought. I'm Kristen Stows, and my guest, Marilyn Hoskins, brings this message to us today. Please stay tuned and watch her create her magic through the art form of Ikebana.
This and more on today's Live and Learn.
Hi, I'm Lita Powell Drake, and welcome to Live and Learn. Today we have something very special. I know you know about this, serving hands, but we're going to explore it a little better with Lucia McCoy, who has created the project, and Matt Schulte, who's on board for the first time, and we're going to find out how all of you got involved. Now, this dates back. You are something else. She's been creating public art projects for 20 years. Mm-hmm. Can you remember them all?
Well, I'll try.
Okay.
The major projects are the following. In 2003 was the Tour de Lincoln, when we had 71 bikes across our community.
Oh, yeah.
Next was Star Art, the Star City Art Project, followed by Across Lincoln for First Plymouth Church. Then it was the light bulbs for illuminating Lincoln Lighthouse. Then in 2017, we had Hearts for Nebraska by Heart,
yeah.
and that was a celebration of Nebraska's sesquicentennial. And now we have the Serving Hands Project, a celebration of the 50th anniversary of campus life.
Wow. How did you get involved with this, Matt?
Well, oddly enough, I was in Beijing, China.
Ni hao ma.
That's right. So I was on a trip, and we were thinking about the 50th anniversary of campus life coming up. And I had seen these projects and thought, hey, that'd be great if we could do one of those public art projects. And I was traveling with somebody named Mike, and I said, Mike, hey, I heard you were part of the art council. You know, how do I do this? And he gave me Liz's number right there. And in Beijing, China. And so I sent you a text or an email or something like that from China. And when I got back, we just started daydreaming, hey, what might a project look like for campus life? You know, immediately you start to think about what will the object be. And we talked about all sorts of different things. We talked about globes, we talked about satellites, we actually really liked the globe idea, but then we realized it wouldn't fit through doors to get into artists' studios. Correct. Because it was going to be too wide. And so then we got to thinking, and over again as we talked, just our heart of service kept coming forward, and so we thought, hey, what about serving hands? And so that's
what it represents.
It was. It was just meant to be.
Yeah.
Now, how many artists actually applied for this?
Well, artists could submit up to 5 proposals. So we had over 100 artists that submitted 75 proposals. No, 75.
What are these sketches, and they were just doing a sketch or something? Yeah.
Correct. So they were about this tall, and we asked for as much information as possible that they could, you know, let us know what their vision for the hands would be. And it was actually the other way around.
That's right. Yeah, 75 artists over 100 projects.
70. Then how did you select the ones that you really thought will build these?
We always have a jury in place for these community projects. They have to be, first of all, rated G for community display. Then we focus on the originality and strength in design. So the projects that were the strongest and rated G for community display move forward into the sponsorship phase of the project. And after the sponsorship phase, we had 39 6-foot sculptures sponsored and 12 small-scale sculptures for the traveling exhibition.
Oh, that's why they're small, because the other ones are so big you can't lug those around all over the place.
Kind of the thought with these is that, you know, those big ones are someone might put in a courtyard or their backyard. The thought
How much
with these,
would it weigh?
they weigh about 240 pounds total.
Well, yeah. Oh, hey, the Huskers are there.
So these small ones, then the thought was, hey, this is something someone could put in their office. Maybe allow someone to, at the auction, to use a little different price point, and so these are traveling all around the city. This Lego one is one of my favorites.
And you know why?
Yes, I know why.
The Lego one was actually done by my son.
Oh,
so
look
he,
at that. Look at
so
that.
he had seen all these sculptures coming in and out of our house, and he said, Dad, I could build one of those out of Legos. And so he came up with the whole idea himself. And there's a little photographer here taking a picture of a guy climbing on the sculpture with a little sign that says, "Do not climb" there. Which was one of our concerns about this project. We don't want people to climb on the real ones, and so he decided to be kind of funny and have a Lego guy climb up.
Well, and that got chosen.
Yeah.
Objectively, too.
That's right. There was.
How old is he?
He is 12 years old. He did that when he was 11, so.
Well, he may have a great future.
That's right.
Okay, let's take a look at the small sculptures.
Yeah.
Shall we do that?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I think, you can explain some
So
of them.
there's a number of different ones. This Mahindi Hands one, which was just on the screen a second ago, is Indian artists. Some of you can clearly see it's got some Indian, impact to it. This one was from Josh. There's 12 of them. This one right here is by Patrick Gauthier. He made this owl that's coming out of the hands. He actually painted two of the really large ones too. He did one of my favorite, well, a lot of them, they're all great. But down here in the Haymarket, he painted one that's based on Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night, and it's just a beautiful,
It's beautiful.
one.
Starry, Starry Night.
And on
I keep bursting
56,
into song.
on 56 in Pioneer by the Legacy, Patrick's second hand, it was inspired by Grant Wood called Patchwork Field, and it's another just stunning.
Okay, what about some of the larger ones now, the big ones? Let's look at some of the big ones.
Now, what we want to let people know is that we have a brochure available. We're getting lots of phone calls saying we want to find all of the sculptures throughout the summer. So we have two prime areas where you can get this map. It's in the Visitor Center down the Haymarket and on East Campus in the Dairy Store. So you can see pictures of all the hands, who created them, who sponsored them, as well as a map.
How many total people are involved in this? The numbers?
Well, we've given out over 8,000 maps, so we're getting a lot of traction on it.
Yeah, well, I meant the number of people who have participated in either the smaller hands or the larger hands.
Oh, that's a good question. It's got to be, 40 to
at least
45,
right,
something like that.
Since artists can do more than one sculpture.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at some of the sculptures. I think the Cost of Freedom is really an interesting one. Maybe you want to explain that one?
This is a butterfly one at 70th and South. You can see this one was installed when it was snowing, so back in November or December. This one's a really, really pretty, beautiful hand-painted one. This is one of the small-scale ones.
What's this called?
This is called Homecoming. It was done by Diane Ogden and represents the rich cultural diversity we have in our state.
Yeah. This is by far the most popular one.
Oh,
well, I should say second most popular one. We had more likes and shares on this one on Facebook than it just totally blew up because it's at the VA. It's like the perfect placement for this one to honor some of our fallen heroes, and the Veterans Administration is the perfect placement
that's a good point. How did you decide where the serving hands would be?
So
I mean, that's perfect.
Yeah, so the people who sponsored it had the choice to put it on their own property, or they had the option to say to us, find a place for it. So the sponsor of this one said, find a place for it, and Liz worked very hard with General Lemke to get this one installed at the Veterans Administration.
Right. It's called the Cost of Freedom. What better place than in front of the VA, where veterans can be honored every day when they drive by it.
And how did people decide to support that particular one?
Well, it was just one of the proposals available and for sponsorship, and it was an important proposal to be sponsored. And so It just was meant to be.
So the potential sponsors were presented with about 70 options, and then they were able to look through them and say, I'd like to sponsor that one.
Oh.
And so some of them were selected because of the artist, some of them were selected because they liked, one of them, there's a piano one that's up at Arnold Elementary School, and that was selected by the Duncan Foundation because one of their parents had been a pianist. The mom had been a pianist. And so she looked at it and said, oh, I would love to honor my mom by having a piano one. And so there's a few of those. Of the 39, I think about 8 of them are on public land. So 3 of them are on city property, one's at the VA, one's at an elementary school.
And which one is this?
Oh, that's called Dreamer. That's by Joel Anderson. It's right there on the corner of 40th and Old Cheney. One of the favorites. I think kids really love this. But, I mean, how can you not?
And kids at heart.
And kids at heart.
But if someone wants to see all of the serving hands, where do they go?
Well,
they can also go to the website to get
you can go to the website, but on October 24th, all of the hands are going to be picked up around our city and taken down to Pinnacle Bank Arena for the community event.
Wait a minute. You said that they were all going to be picked up, but you said how much do they weigh? Are you going to pick them all up?
Well, we will probably end up using a forklift.
But anyway, the community event is at Pinnacle Bank Arena, October 24th, when people can come down and see all the sculptures in one spot, meet many of the artists, purchase a book about the project, which everybody seems to be loving these projects and want the book, which is a record. And then on Friday, the October 25th, at 7 o'clock is the public auction, when not only will the 39 6-foot sculptures be auctioned, but also the 12 small-scale sculptures will be in a silent auction.
And we have it on the screen right now, so we want to make certain that you've got the dates and the times and the places. You might want to jot these down because things on television go by very quickly and you don't hear it.
And there's the information about the auction is also in the brochure that you can pick up, and it's on our website at servinghandslincoln.org. And if you're even into Facebook, just search for Serving Hands Lincoln, you'll find it. So.
Well, you've done these projects for 20 years. Are you thinking about the next one?
No, but I'm getting phone calls. Liz, have you thought of this? And I always smile. I go, let's just talk about it. But I just kind of focus on one at a time.
Yeah.
And that's it. They bring so much joy to Lincoln.
How long does it take you, once you get the idea and say, we're going to do this, to start the thing rolling until it's finished?
Well, when I did the Tour to Lincoln, that was a second master's degree. It took me 3 years to organize that.
Is that
and
the
put
bicycle?
that together. Correct.
Yeah, okay.
And now we get them done in about
16 months.
16 months, about a year and a half.
From idea to auction
Correct.
is what it's going to end up being.
But it's still a major production.
Yes.
And a lot of work, but it's all for the good. It's all not only about showcasing all the art talent we have in Nebraska, but all the good an organization does for campus life for our kids.
Yeah. Well, and I would even add, I don't think I said this earlier, but we clearly have a heart of service at Campus Life where we're wanting to serve the teens of Lincoln and give them a chance to hear about God and make an informed decision about Him. But we also see that across the city, there's so many people that are serving in various capacities. And so we see this as a celebration of us, but also of servanthood across the city.
Well, congratulations to both of you for all the work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Remember, it's never too late to live and learn more about serving hands.
Hi, I'm Randy Jones with Aging Partners. Did you know that Lincoln expects a 75% increase in the number of seniors living in our community over the next 15 years? Aging Partners is a community service that provides fitness programs to help keep older adults strong and healthy. This year, Lincoln Cares donations are providing funds for new fitness equipment. You can help make this happen. Sign up to support Lincoln Cares and add $1 to your LES bill each month.
Hello and welcome to Live and Learn. I'm your host, Jerry Renaud. September is the month when all of the fitness classes from Aging Partners start up again. They ended somewhere in the middle of the summer and gave everybody a little break, and now we're going to start them up again, and we want to talk to you about those. We want to talk to you about some continuing classes that are going to be a carryover from the summer. We want to again talk to you about the fitness center, and if we have time, give you a little demonstration if you've never been to one of these classes, to show you a little bit about the kinds of things that happen there. And here to tell us all about that is Tracy Foreman from Aging Partners, community health educator.
Yeah.
Tracy, you have all of the great information. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about Feeling Fit Fridays. That's
Okay.
has been sort of going on over the summer. We hope people have been taking advantage of that. There are a number of opportunities for people to come down and get a feel for what some of the classes might be like, sort of a one-time opportunity. Tell us a little bit about the Feeling Fit Fridays, and I know we have at least several of them left in September.
We do. We have through September every Friday at noon, and that's at 21st and Q, the Jane Snyder Center. We are working in cooperation with Parks and Recreation and the Community Health Endowment Foundation. We are having classes, like you said, a sampling of basically what Aging Partners does. So we'll have a variation of from yoga to Tai Chi to Qigong to dance classes.
Yeah, we're going to flash through them here real. Maybe you can talk Sit and Be Fit. That's the first one that's coming up. And again, this is being in September, so some of these may be already done, but we did want to give you a chance
Yes.
to look at them. So, so you've got Sit and Be Fit.
Correct.
Tell us just briefly about that.
Sit and Be Fit is all different things, and we're going to be doing a little bit of a demonstration with some of the things that we use in Sit and Be Fit. It's household items that we use to improve strength, core strength, flexibility, and we'll work on lean muscle mass in,
Okay,
in
and
that
you're
class.
also going to do a line dance?
Yes, line dance is very popular. People love to
good.
dance, and so we'll be doing some different kind of popular line dances today.
Okay,
That'll be fun.
very good. So people should look for the Feeling Fit Fridays at the Jane Snyder Center.
Yes.
Those are lots of fun. Okay, so let's talk about some of the classes.
Okay.
We have some continuing ones, which are always good, but we also perhaps have some new ones. Let's talk a little bit about dynamic movement. That is a very popular class and lots of fun.
Dynamic movement is a class that starts from a seated position, and it really helps to improve balance, core strength, flexibility, a lot of brain work in dynamic movement, but it's based on dance. And I trained in New Orleans actually to learn how to do this. It's in a circle, so everybody is facing each other. And we use various props in this class, but dance to oldies music. So anybody can do it. It can be done by the chair, or we may move in a circle sometimes. So you're always close to a chair. But we do get our heart rate up and work every part of our body. So a lot of fun.
Not something that somebody has to memorize or is terribly challenging to do any of this stuff.
No, but the added bonus to this class is after you do it a few times, we mix it up every week, but you do start to learn some of the dances. So.
And let's talk again briefly about the times for these.
We have it at different locations. So on Mondays we have it at the Kotner Center, which is over on Kotner and Holdridge Street, and that is at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 to 3. And then we have it, that's on Mondays, and on Tuesdays we have it at the Ald Recreation Center. And then we also have it at St. Mark's on Thursday, and that's in the afternoon. So various locations and times.
So lots of opportunities for this class. This
opportunities,
must be a
yes.
popular one.
It is very popular, and that's why we kept adding classes. So
Very cool. Okay, let's talk about Tai Chi.
okay.
Tai Chi, there are a number of different classes that have Tai Chi in the title.
Yes.
Tai Chi can seem a little daunting, I think, for some people who don't know a lot about it. And one of the classes takes a little bit of effort to actually learn how to do the movements and do those kinds of things. But tell us a little bit about Tai Chi, first of all, and then we'll talk about the classes.
Well, Aging Partners offers lots of evidence-based Tai Chi classes, and the benefit of evidence-based classes is that there's some federal funding that goes with it, but they are set up in a 12-week format. So you will learn just 8 basic forms in the Tai Chi Moving for Better Balance. It's done 2 days a week, and you start with 1 or 2 forms each week and then build on that. So Tai Chi is a series of forms that are added as you learn them. And we have the 12-week Moving for Better Balance. We have all levels of Tai Chi, which works for just about anyone. We have seated Tai Chi, and that's done over at St. Paul Church on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then we have Tai Chi Moving for Better Balance, and we have that class in several locations around Lincoln. And then there is 24-form Tai Chi, which is the next step up from 8-form Tai Chi, and that one we have a continuing class right now and hope to have very soon some instructional classes for 24-form again.
And for people who maybe have had, I know Ollie offers some classes in the 24-form. There are some other places around town that have done that. You would be more than happy to accept those folks to come in if they've had a little bit of background on that. Here we see the Tai Chi continuing form. It's at the Kotner Center. It says 1 to 1:30, and I know you teach that class, and it never ends at 1:30. It always goes
That's correct.
a few minutes longer. So this is the one that people need to have a little bit of knowledge, because it's several forms that sort of flow together.
Yes.
It takes 4 or 5 minutes to do that, but it takes a little bit to learn that. I'm involved in that. It's great fun. We really encourage people to try to be able to do that. And again, Tai Chi, I think, offers so many great things for everyone.
Lots of benefits
but the balance part of it, I think, is really critical.
Yes. So in Tai Chi, you are moving, as I said before, in a series of movements, but really focusing on core strength and balance, because we do a lot of weight transference and slow, gentle movements that force the work into those long muscle groups. So really an excellent form of exercise.
And here we have Tai Chi Moving for Better Balance. This is a little different than the 24 form, right?
Correct. That is an 8-form Tai Chi done in a 12-week format, 2 days a week. And this Auld location is really one of the newest classes we're going to be offering. So Lavon is one of our Tai Chi instructors, and she's going to be teaching that one, working with another instructor.
And then we have the chair Tai Chi, that's the third one, right?
Chair Tai Chi, Judy Pfeiffer is one of our instructors, and she'll be teaching that one over at St. Paul Church on Tuesdays and Thursday mornings.
Very good. Our message on that one is, don't be freaked out by the name, right?
No, that's right.
I mean, again, the Tai Chi, I think sometimes people think, oh, I can never really do that. Now, we have another one, which is called Qigong. And the Qigong is becoming very popular.
It is.
But it has some similarities to the Tai Chi, but whereas Tai Chi really was started as a martial art, Qigong is really not. Qigong is, again, talking about balance and movement and lots of stretching. And I think it originally was created to try to extend lives.
Yes, and they say that warriors used to practice Tai Chi and Qigong before they went into battle. And Qigong is just basically originally an Eastern practice, but more mainstream now. It really is just slow, gentle movements that work into the lean muscle groups, and you're correct, help to improve balance with practice. All of the movements can be learned. As you know, you do Qigong yourself, and so pretty easy to learn, nice and slow, but it's a workout. You'd be surprised.
It is. It's a good workout. It's a couple of days a week, and the one thing that I think is good about it is eventually you get to know the movements, but even if you're just coming in for the first time, you take everybody through every position, again, nice and slow.
Yes, nice and easy, nice and slow. About anybody can do it, and it can even be done from a chair. So.
Okay, what else? We have, Mitzi has a very fun sort of program, right?
Yeah. Movement with Mitzi. Mitzi Aiden is one of our high energy, I call her, instructors.
Indeed.
And she does a little bit of everything. She likes to do a class with balls and bands, and that of course helps to improve flexibility and strength. And she adds some dance into her classes too. And she's got some serious rhythm. So she can really get people moving and makes her classes a lot of fun.
Okay, so if people are interested in coming to any of these classes, what is your suggestion then?
My suggestion is that they call our main office, and that's the 441-7575 number, and register ahead of time. We can get you registered for any number of classes that you want to take, and we can get schedules sent out. And if you get the Living Well magazine, that information is in the Living Well magazine.
And it's not a situation where everybody has to be there every time. I mean, you can just sort of come in, come out kind of a thing there, and there's a small fee, right?
There is a suggested contribution if you're over the age of 60 of $4 per class, and if you're under the age of 60, there is a $5 contribution. We have 8-week sessions, but a lot of times people can't make it to every class, and that's okay.
Right. Okay, so we've talked about the classes. Let's talk a little bit about the fitness center as well, because that is it's been around for a little while, but it's still fairly new. There is a place that Aging Partners has where if you would like to come down, work out with some weights, or get a personal trainer to take you through some things, that is available, right?
It is at 555 South 9th Street. We're directly behind the City County building. We are there from 8 to 4 Monday through Friday, and we have personal trainers there on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We really have some great strength equipment that we can help you to work out on. We do recommend that you meet with a trainer the first time or two just to get acclimated, and we've got some great cardiovascular equipment and an extra stretching and free weight room that you can go into. Plus we have a nice center or area of our center that people can go into and talk and have some coffee afterwards or a glass of water. So
very nice. Okay, so as we promised, we want to give people a little demonstration of some things that might happen at one of the classes if they've never been there. So we need to give our folks a chance to sort of rework our studio here a little bit. So while we do that, we'll get ready. All right, we have reset our studio. We have removed our table and we have our devices here, and Tracy is going to take us through a couple of things that will happen in probably a couple of the different classes.
Yes, yes. In dynamic movement, we use the sticks, and in Qigong every now and then we'll use the sticks to help us with spinal alignment and shoulder rotation and kind of keeping our entire body in alignment. So we'll start with soft knees. That's always important to keep from locking your joints, and we just soften our knees, working into the shoulders and the breath. Inhale up, we bring the breath in, and then exhale down and touch your knees as you move into a squat. Inhale up and exhale down. The stick isn't heavy, but it does help to keep our arms and our shoulders in alignment. And down, let's inhale up through our nose and exhale down. And then to warm our spines up, bring it to about chest height, soften your knees, and move into a twist side to side, trying to keep that stick straight. Ensuring that we're moving our spines correctly here, and knees are soft. We always do our warm-ups before each fitness class. Okay, in Qigong, we would do some steps forward, step forward and push away, and then rock back off of that front heel. Step forward, push away, rock back, forward, push away, and pull it back. Let's bring that foot back and on the other side.
I think we're going to be out of time.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Just makes me, again, want to get back into the classes, and all those are going to be starting this fall. So again, check the website out, see what's going to be out there, see what's going to be offered. They're great instructors. Tracy Foreman, thank you for being here with us today from Aging Partners, our community health educator. Thank all of you for being with us today. I'm your host, Jerry Renaud, and remember, it's never too late to live and learn.
Legal services are a part of the spectrum of senior services available through our 8 area agencies on aging. Attorneys can assist and educate seniors on consumer credit and debt collection issues, as well as help them plan ahead with advance directives. Attorneys can also help seniors with consumer fraud and financial exploitation concerns, and also guide them through government benefit issues. For more information, contact the Elder Access Line at 800-527-7249.
Welcome to Live and Learn. A great way for grandparents to establish rapport with their grandchildren is to read to them and generate a bond with those grandchildren. I'm Doug Jost, and I'm happy today to have Vicki Wood with us. She's the Youth Services Supervisor at the Lincoln Libraries. Welcome, Vicki. First of all, let's talk about what your role is at the libraries.
Okay. Well, my job is to do everything that has to do with children from birth up to high school. So that includes collection development and also programming. So all of our story times that we have and all of the books in the library that are for youth, that I oversee those programs and any special programs that we do. Summer reading is a big one.
Let's talk specifically about books. How do you decide what children's books to buy? There are a lot of them out there.
Yes, as you know, there's thousands of them out there, published every year. And we have a service through Baker & Taylor, which is the company we buy our books from. And they are nice enough to go through all the books published every month and send us carts, basically, saying these are the best, these are the ones that are getting the best reviews. And then as the librarians, different librarians at different locations, have certain areas that they buy from, and they go in and decide which ones to actually purchase for which branches.
Now, books have changed a lot since my daughter was young. There's new literature, there's new forms of literature. Is it difficult for grandparents to sort of get in the mood for today's children's literature?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, books have changed and they haven't. Picture books especially have always just been wonderful things to spark imagination. I'd say the big thing that's changed is there's a lot more art, different kinds of art in children's books, and of course the subjects that children's books handle is much bigger and more comprehensive now than it ever was. But it's such a booming industry, and there are so many beautiful books published every year that I don't think any grandparent would have a hard time finding something that they and their grandkids would love to share together.
What about some of the classics, maybe the books that were popular back a generation or two ago?
Well, we promote the classics very much, and actually grandparents are probably about the best people to read the classics because they remember reading them as kids, and that's really exciting to children, whether it's the parent or the grandparent, to say, I loved this book when I was little, let's read it together, and that's a great way to make a really special bond. We do have actually a collection of books at the library that's called the Top 100 Novels for Youth, and we actually have a handy list that comes with it. So this is one of them, The Birch Bark House by Louise Erdrich. So these are books that have stood the test of time. They are classics from way back and also from 10, 20, 30 years ago. And that's a great list to choose from if you're a parent or a grandparent and you're looking for a classic book to read. But I would really recommend thinking about the books that you loved as a child. We still have them at the library probably. Well, and sharing that with your grandchildren is a great idea.
They still have them on the library shelf at home too.
Yeah, there you go.
So I do have 7-year-old grandchildren, grandsons, twins. What would you recommend? If I came to you in the library and asked, what would you recommend?
Well, I would probably walk to the shelf with you and try to choose some things based on what your grandkids were interested in. I'm a big proponent of nonfiction. I think that a lot of kids, especially boys, really like to read nonfiction. So I would go there. But also, we have a whole section of the library that has something called a beginning chapter book. This is a good example. It's a little bit above where some 7-year-olds might be reading or right at their reading level. So if you're reading aloud to kids and you want to choose something that's a little bit over their head so they have something to shoot for. Also, it's great for them to develop vocabulary and to give them more confidence as they are reading. So if they're kind of in first readers, which is what we call when kids first start to read, this would be the next step. If they've already gotten here, you want to take them to the next step, which is regular fiction.
When you think about books, what age do we start reading to children? At when they're just a baby?
Yes, so there's a lot of new research that has come out in the last 10 years that shows that the brain development that happens between birth and 3 years old is critical and crucial. And one of the biggest things that's developing during that time is language development, because that's how we communicate, of course. And children can learn so much from being read to at that age, and there's all kinds of brain development that happens. This brain development then helps them when they go to school in all different kinds of ways, but reading aloud to children specifically helps them learn to read as they go to school. So you're not actually teaching them to read, but you're teaching them about the rules of language, which is the most important thing they need, so that when they start school and their teachers teach them how to read, they'll be ready because they'll already understand some really basic structure, they'll have some vocabulary, they'll understand that words are in pieces and you put those pieces together to make words. There's all kinds of powerful research right now about what reading to young children does for their brains, the good things.
Is there differences? There obviously would be in terms of the type of books you read at, say, up to maybe 3 or 4 years old and so on.
Yep.
Can you break that age grouping down at all for us?
Yeah, so the very first books for babies and young children are board books, and they look like this, and they literally are cardboard books. They're pretty indestructible. We have lots of these at the library. They're beautiful. They just have a few words on each page. They're colorful. This one happens to be a concept book, so it's about the alphabet, and so what a great way to introduce that concept. Even if the child is too young to really understand the alphabet, they can definitely store this sort of thing away and enjoy hearing you talk about the books and the pictures and whatever's going on in the book. So that would be great. Any board books 0 to 3 years old is a great thing to share. And then you get into picture books, and we have all kinds of picture books. I do want to tell people that we have picture books in all kinds of languages. So we have Spanish, Vietnamese, Arabic, Karen, a lot of the languages that are spoken by the immigrant and refugee community here. This one happens to be in Spanish and English. So we have those. And so picture books would be the next thing that you would want to move into. This is another beautiful example by Denise Fleming. After that, it's a first reader. And a first reader would be what you would be familiar with is like Green Eggs and Ham. So those were the early first readers, limited vocabulary. They're easier for kids who are just starting to read independently. Then we move into beginning chapter books, and then we go into fiction. And after fiction, we have the young adult category, which is for teenagers.
Well, the chapter books are designed to have an ongoing story. You maybe read one chapter a day or one chapter a setting? Or?
Yes, if the kids you're reading to will let you just read one chapter a day. I've sat down with my kids before and said, we're just going to read a chapter before bed, and they said, no, read the next one, read the next one. And also with a child that's old enough to read, you can alternate reading aloud too. That's another great way to do it. It can be, because reading aloud is tiring if you've ever done it.
Yes.
So sometimes, alternating, and that really helps the child improve his or her reading skill also.
Now you do have story times at the libraries. Sort of what's the goal for those, and how do you choose books to read?
Okay, well, our story times also cover the gamut from babies up to families, older kids. And the idea behind those is language development, just like for everything else. It's in developing a love of learning and a love of language. So we do music, we do finger plays, we do movement, in addition to reading books. So we start out with babies, and we move to toddlers and preschool kids, and those are pretty different sorts of experiences because kids are developmentally different. But each of our storytellers who work in our libraries get to choose what they read. And so usually they'll choose a theme, whether it's a seasonal theme or a color or an idea, and they'll sort of build all their activities around that half hour theme. And if you kind of hop around from place to place in our library system, you'll realize that we have some fantastic storytellers in our system, and they differ, but they all have their own unique way of doing a story time.
Yeah, it's fun, and I remember even when I was in elementary school, teachers used to read to us some, and I'm not sure if that was just a break or whether they were thinking about the other importance or the other advantages of reading aloud.
Yeah, I think that, and I think sometimes that goes by the wayside because teachers are so busy now trying to fulfill so many different areas of the curriculum. But I have a very distinct memory of a third grade teacher that read aloud to me, and it's very burned in my memory as being a really wonderful thing. It was after recess we would come in and she read Charlotte's Web to us, and it was really magical.
Now what about, we've talked about books in the library and so on. Any recommendations like for gifts, if it's Christmas or birthdays or whatever, that grandparents, you would suggest to grandparents to buy for their grandchildren?
Well, what I would suggest, of course, is that you go to the library and you tell a librarian that you're interested in buying a gift and the age and the interest of the child, and they would be happy to let you look at several different books, and then you could go to the bookstore and purchase the book. Also, every year I do a gift list near the end of November. Okay. That's a list, and I do a talk at the downtown library about good books to give as gifts. So I think you need to go with the age of the child, you need to go with their interests. Their parents might know if they're reading a series of books that they really enjoy. You might buy something similar to that, or you might purchase a book that you loved and say, as a project, let's read this book together in January because it's Christmas and you're going to be out of school for a while, so let's do that together.
That list is available at each of the libraries?
Yes, and online.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Sort of the overall theme here, I talked about the making the bond with grandchildren, but you've identified a lot of other advantages to the whole learning process and mental development of children.
Yeah.
And how would you characterize some of that, just to sort of summarize what you were pointing out?
Well, this is very recent research. I mean, really, we always knew that reading aloud is good to kids, but it was more anecdotal. We didn't have a lot of brain research, and now with a lot of MRI technologies and different money put into this, we have learned actually that there are meaningful differences between children who hear a lot of language and children who don't, and how that impacts their schooling. And so the easiest way to get language into kids is to read to them. There's a lot of sort of myths about children's books. They think they're simple and they think the vocabulary is simple, but that's actually not true. There's words in children's books that kids won't hear normally. And so this really builds a vocabulary, and they know more about things. And that's one of the big reasons that I'm an advocate for nonfiction too, because kids are naturally curious. And the children's nonfiction books we have are just fantastic. And so if kids are interested in birds or dinosaurs or trees or trains or whatever their natural interest is, we have books at the library that are way beyond what they could read themselves, but you could read to them. They will absorb that stuff like a sponge, and then be really book literate and also be excited and curious and start down that road to being a lifelong learner.
And one of the books my grandsons have is How Things Work.
Oh, that's a great book.
And yes, it's way beyond what they could understand, maybe part of it, but yet very simple and develops. Their interest in a lot of things.
Yeah, David Macaulay published that book about 20 years ago, and it's fantastic. It's everything from gears and levers to computers and everything in between, and they can grow into that book. They can keep it all their life and at different times learn different things from it.
Vicki, this has been very interesting. I want to thank you a lot for bringing this insight to us. There's a lot of resources available in our community at the libraries, and we'd encourage grandparents and parents alike to make use of them.
Great.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Remember, it's never too late to live and learn about how to generate bonds with your grandchildren and help them in their learning process.
Hi, I'm Randy Jones with Aging Partners. Did you know that Lincoln expects a 75% increase in the number of seniors living in our community over the next 15 years? Aging Partners is a community service that provides fitness programs to help keep older adults strong and healthy. This year, Lincoln Cares donations are providing funds for new fitness equipment. You can help make this happen. Sign up to support Lincoln Cares and add $1 to your LES bill each month.
As flowers are arranged, friendships will grow. This is the message that my talented guest is bringing us today. I'm Kristen Stows, and I'm so pleased to welcome Master Instructor of the Ichiyo School of Ikebana, Marilyn Hoskins. Marilyn, welcome to Live and Learn.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely, it's a joy to have you here. Let's start by defining ikebana.
Ikebana is a Japanese word. Ike means living, hana or bana means flower. So living flower, all flowers that are arranged in ikebana are alive or have been alive.
Okay, and this really is an ancient art form, correct?
It's very ancient. It started way back in the 6th century. And a prince from Korea brought Chinese porcelains into Japan at that time, which allowed the Japanese to bring the flowers in the house.
Oh, I see.
Japan has a very verdant ecology, and the Japanese have always really worshipped nature and the flowers. The Shinto religion is highly involved in the natural elements.
When did your interest in ikebana develop then?
Well, my husband was transferred for his business to Japan, and I had always wanted to, I always loved flowers, I always wanted to learn how to arrange them properly. And so fortunately, I had an opportunity. We were there 5 years, so I had a lot of time to learn.
And what a perfect place to be able to start this, right?
Yes.
Yes, yes. Then how is it that you were able to learn this art? It had to be a series of classes.
Well, the Ichiyo School has a curriculum of 100 classes.
Okay.
And then beyond that, there's graduate work to do, exhibitions to do, demonstrations to do that are all involved in achieving the master level in the school.
And you actually did achieve the master level, which
yes,
that is really a feather in your cap, I think, for that. There are not many masters, are there?
Well, there are not. When I became a master in the United States, there were very few.
Okay.
And of course, there are more now because we're teaching more students.
Yes, yes, sure. Could you please comment on the beauty of Japan? I know you lived there for a few years and you found it breathtaking, yes?
It is a breathtaking, beautifully verdant. Verdant is the word to describe it. It's very mountainous.
Okay.
And as you look across the mountains, particularly in the spring, there'll be every shade of green you can imagine. And then it's punctuated by the pink and white cherry blossoms that grow wild through there. And it's very wet country, so there's a lot of rain, a lot of big rivers.
Okay, all right.
That flow through there, so there's never a water shortage. And the climate is very temperate. It's the same latitude as Washington, D.C., so it's a very temperate climate in Tokyo.
All right. I hope to get there someday.
I hope you do too.
I do too. I love the motto of Ikebana International, Friendship Through Flowers. Please tell us a little bit more about that organization.
Ikebana International was formed after World War II and spearheaded by the wives of the military people that were there, because the Japanese people are so lovely and the country is so beautiful and their art is just breathtaking. They thought if they could spread that message around, that it would heal the wounds of the war more quickly.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Flowers through friendship through flowers. That's perfect. Yeah, that's perfect. Let's talk about the meaning then of this style of flower arrangement.
Well, as you'll see later when you see the demonstration, it's really to bring the beauty of Japan into the home and refine it.
Okay.
And let the individual focus on a certain specific part of the natural outdoors. And that's really the basis of it. And it's an art form.
It is an art form, definitely. It is an art form. What is the significance of using an odd number of flowers in your arrangements?
Well, it's a couple of different reasons. 3 is much more pleasing shape than 4.
Okay.
4 is very rigid, and 3 is 3 or 5 is very, allows for a lot of movement.
Okay.
And in ancient times, it was Shin, So, and Tai, and the Shin was heaven, So was man in the middle, and Tai was earth. So it was a part of the Shinto religion on where does man fit in the cosmos.
Okay, all right, heaven, man, and earth. That's very symbolic.
Yes.
Yes, I like that a lot. And I know you try to avoid balance in your work. You want it to be more free-flowing. Is that the idea?
Well, actually, balance is very important in the work, but what we're trying to avoid is we're trying to create movement and motion and life. instead of just a mass of color.
Okay.
Most Western flower arrangements they're beautiful, but that's just a big mass of color that they use. And Japanese flower arranging tries to create motion through balance. And if you don't have balance in the arrangement, it's not going to look well.
I see. All right, I understand. We enjoyed you putting together a flower arrangement before we started our taping, and I believe that we are going to watch that now, and then we will talk more about it after it's finished.
The most important element of an ikebana arrangement is balance and proportion. So when you arrange flowers, you always start by measuring against your container. This is a very special container. It was made by Stuart Gare, who graduated from the University of Nebraska in ceramics. This was his signature glaze, and I'm fortunate enough to have a couple of his pieces. So we're going to measure this to be in proportion to the container, and then we're going to determine the front of this branch. This arrangement is the first arrangement that every person who studies ikebana does. And every arrangement in ikebana is based on this arrangement. This material is blueberry viburnum, and ikebana always strives to be seasonal, and we are kind of coming out of the flower season of the viburnum into the berry season. So we left these on because these, as you know, will all turn into berries. And the basic structure of every ikebana arrangement is the triangle. So we have, we're creating our triangle right now. And it's very obvious in this arrangement that we have the 3 points. First point, second point, third point. The third point has kind of a wild hair. It wants to look against the wall. So to continue on with our seasonality, we've got these gorgeous, gorgeous pink peonies. When you cut flowers for any kind of an arrangement, you need to hold the stem underwater and cut it holding the stem under the water. The reason for that is when you cut a flower, it kind of goes, and so you want to make sure when it goes, it's taking up water and not air. So this is our tallest flower, and it goes between the two tallest stems. And this is our middle flower, and it goes in the middle. And this is our shortest flower. And the other important thing about an ikebana arrangement is it needs to have movement. It needs to have motion. So we're creating a triangle and a triangle. And in order to give your arrangement some depth, we always put the smallest flower in the back. That makes it look like you're looking at the front of the garden rather than the part of the garden that's up against the fence. And I had a great time in my garden this morning. The viburnum is from my garden, and the hosta flowers are just coming on. So we'll add a few hosta flowers just for seasonality. As you all know, if you do any gardening at all in Nebraska, this is the best time of year to be gardening. And we're going to duplicate the triangle again with these hosta flowers. So this one's going to be towards the back. Whoops. This one's going to come over here where it's shorter. Come on, turn around, turn around. It's okay, you can do it. I know I have another one in this pile. There it is. There it is. So we'll put this one over here. So what we have essentially is we have 3 triangles made with the 3 different materials. We've got a lot of movement and motion, and the joke in Nebraska is we think it should look like a breeze. Well, there aren't very many breezes in Nebraska. But you can take 3 simple flowers, 3 simple branches, and make a beautiful flower arrangement. But it has to be in proportion. Third, third, third.
Marilyn, that was just beautiful, and your arrangement was gorgeous. I would love to have that on my table.
Oh, well, we can make that work.
Good, thank you very much. We will start showing some pictures now of other arrangements that you have created, and they're all just beautiful. I would like to have you touch on something you mentioned during your demonstration, and that is the importance of the vase or the vessel to your arrangement.
Well, part of Japanese flower arranging is it's a whole creation. And sometimes we start with the vase, sometimes we start with the place we're going to put the arrangement, and sometimes we start with the flowers. The vase is important because it is a major element of the flower arrangement. We don't cover the vase with a lot of flowers, it becomes part of the arrangement. And so ceramics and appreciating ceramics is equally as important as appreciating the flowers.
So you really do choose a vase very deliberately.
Very deliberately.
Yes, I understand. I'd like to have you comment on something. You did touch on this, but maybe we can embellish this topic. Here is the quote: "There is a fundamental difference between Western and Japanese flower arrangement. In the West, one aims to fill spaces. The Japanese way, on the other hand, is to create space." How do you create space?
How do you create space? Well, if you look at the photographs that they're showing, the vase on some of them will be just filled in one area and then left open. And that is the space. And space is important because that's how you create movement. If you don't have the space, you have a very static looking. As I mentioned before, we're looking for the breeze to flow through the flowers, and that space creates a spot for the breeze to flow through the flowers. And also, water is important. So by creating space in the container, you can see the water.
Oh, I see.
And in the warmer months, you move the arrangement back in the container so it's a cooler look. In the winter months, you move the flowers more forward in the container because it's a warmer look.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting. There's a lot to this art.
There is a lot
to this art. We will be showing your Facebook page so our viewers can access that. I know you teach classes, and how fun this would be to learn from you. I would love it. Do you see the popularity of Ikebana increasing?
It's an interesting dynamic. It's increasing as we live longer.
Okay.
And when people retire from work, they're looking to fill their time, and like me, they always wanted to learn to arrange flowers.
Yes.
So they start, and you know, it's no longer that when you retire you only have a few years left. When you retire, you may have 20 or 30 years left. So you have to fill your time.
Right.
So I think with that dynamic, it's growing in popularity.
Yes, I can understand why. Thank you, Marilyn, so much for bringing your talent and the beauty of your floral arrangements to Live and Learn today.
Thank you for having me.
You are very welcome. And I know you will all agree, it's never too late to find beauty in all things, and it's certainly never too late to live and learn.